Africa's newly adopted remote work visa allows highly paid individuals who are employed abroad to work in the country. The idea is that these individuals will spend foreign currency in South Africa, pay value-added tax into the South African fiscus, and buy South African goods and services, helping grow local jobs. The new system also introduces a set of criteria to determine who qualifies for a critical skills or general work visa.
Home Affairs' meticulous attention to detail to ensure that these reforms are fit for purpose and market-friendly has resulted in two products that begin to reposition South Africa as a world-class destination for investment and tourism to create thousands of new jobs for South Africans. Importantly, the new points-based system also introduces a transparent framework to adjudicate visas in order to tackle corruption, and it creates a threshold of 650,000 Rand in gross annual income, which amounts to double the median income in the formal sector, to better protect existing jobs at the lower end of the market while injecting skills at the top, including through our trusted employer scheme.
Political analyst Dr. Levy Ndou says the visa definitely has its benefits and is unlikely to trigger anti-foreigner sentiments that periodically rear its ugly head in the country.
People that are granted this kind of a visa are not in competition with South Africans because they are still employed by their own companies, which are not based here in South Africa. And all what these people are doing is only to be in the country, but fulfilling their responsibilities outside. And they still continue to spend money inside the country. So I see more benefits of this visa than the negatives. And I think it's the right thing to have these kind of visas, because at the same time, there could be interaction, exchange of culture, and also in some way, exchange of skills.
However, others hold a different view, including the EFF.
They will then be concentrated in the cities like Cape Town, where they are going to buy properties there and make the price of buying a mere house in the city of Cape Town to become expensive that an ordinary South African will no longer afford, and be forced to be pushed to the townships that are neglected and without service deliveries that we have seen in the city of Cape Town. So the main focus now for the Grand Coalition of DA and the ANC is only European countries. They're not focusing on Africa. There's a lot of backlog that the minister can focus on.
The head of advocacy at the Scalabrini Centre of Cape Town makes the point that the latest visa does not adequately address calls for greater freedom of movement in the region.
Really is being called for is a SADC visa, like a South African Development Community visa that allows for free movement and free trade in goods. And we have a very similar examples in East Africa, in West Africa with ECOWAS. And to a certain extent, unfortunately, South Africa and Southern Africa are a little bit behind the curve there. And I think that while the introduction of this visa is a nice to have, might be beneficial to a small grouping, it doesn't address the bigger picture.
Chapman says there is a need for Home Affairs to take lessons from what has happened with the special visas for Zimbabweans, Basotho and Angolians.
We have seen highly skilled nurses, social workers, teachers, engineers who have all, in the past year and a half, left South Africa to go to England, to go to Canada, to go to other countries where there's a more receptive environment because of what has happened with the decision to discontinue the Zimbabwean exemption permits. And so, it is really hoped that the department will adopt a policy that encourages a greater degree of free movement across the board, not for just very limited skills-based, but more broad-based.
Chapman says it is incumbent on government to ensure that citizens see the real benefit that documented skilled people from the continent and abroad can bring to grow the economy and create jobs, and reflect this in its visa dispensation. Zara Groenewald, SABC News, Johannesburg.